Hey, welcome back to Reddit Cheating Wife, the best channel for cheating stories. Like and subscribe to the channel for cheating stories like this.
Wife caught cheating with simp she met streaming on Twitch. Put on your seatbelt. This is getting intriguing. COVID-19 scores a touchdown. My wife ultimately complains of boredom in May/June of this year, despite the fact that I got her this $2,300 gaming PC that she never uses. During this downtime, I urged her to get back into gaming. On Twitch and Discord, she begins broadcasting and forming connections and a tiny community. I'm convinced that this is helpful since having any contact is such a low point in many people's life. Late July/early August arrives, and owing to our occupations, which we cannot describe, we are completely confined to a 2-mile radius, only allowed to travel to vital stops such as petrol, groceries, and so on. She chooses to go on a staycation with 2 of her pals to a nearby hotel for a girls' night out. The first night passes with a few messages, no issue, she needed to have fun. I email her the following day, and she informs me that they will be spending another night. On that Sunday morning, she returns to the home and sits next to me, despite the fact that I had just awoken from the night before, and says we need to chat. She claims that she has to concentrate on her profession, that it is quite demanding, and that she needs space. I admire this since she has had several chances to advance, and I want to see her succeed. I leave her alone more often, but when I do see her, I make an effort to be loving in order to demonstrate that I support her after a hard day at work. She ultimately suggests that we should chat again. This time she adds, "I squirm when you're affectionate to me, I don't understand it," and finally says that when we go back home, we live abroad, she wants to live separately and have me help her pay for her apartment on her own. I explain that's not what I'm looking for and that I could go anywhere her career takes her. It would be inequitable to me since I would most likely be living someplace else without her or our pets. She accuses me of being selfish for wanting to live with her and the dogs rather than leaving her alone. I begin to feel melancholy because my wife would not touch me, tell me she loves me, or acknowledge me. I weep in the shower on a daily basis and finally feel horrible watching porn since I have a wife that isn't there for me. I also observe her being used often, which I don't mind, but I hadn't been bedded in 2 months and we don't even shower together anymore. I see she is always broadcasting on her PC, which is understandable given that she is attempting to establish a following on Twitch. I work in social media and realize how difficult it is to develop a community. She became irritated if I came in while she was streaming or if I spoke to her. I ultimately stopped going into the computer area because I was afraid of getting screamed at. September I begin to discuss this with my coworker, and he suggests that I examine her computer. I am the last person who wants to use a computer or a phone. I'm not the sort to be envious, but he finally opens my eyes to this possibility. I get home one day and attempt to access the computer. The password has been updated, although we had this password set 2.5 years ago at this moment. We go out to dinner that night and I'm gripping my fist on the driving wheel and gritting my teeth as I drive. I'm fighting the thought in my brain that she's my wife and I should trust her, and that if she's my wife, I should be able to speak about anything. I drop the bomb. She scoffs at my question, saying, "Of course not," and changes the password to match her work computer. Because of how straightforward this was, I feel a bit more at peace. A week later, she throws a baby shower for a mutual acquaintance, to which I'm invited. I went, but I had an illness, so I was really weak, on medicines, and just not feeling well. She's all lovey-dovey and caressing my shoulders and kissing me. She eventually leaves her phone unprotected, which I observe should never be accessible while I'm around. When I attempt to log in, the password is wrong. I play into my disease and go home unhappy because I have discovered something new. I remembered one of the men she often plays with and attempted to add him on Instagram. She is enraged by my inquiry. I also had a business trip planned at the end of October for a week. She insisted on knowing every detail, which seemed strange given how much she wanted to know that I would be gone when I was her husband. I go on a business trip and try not to contact her in order to give her this space. When I return, she pulls me up and there is no tenderness, no I miss you, no I love you, no nothing, just irritation. Despite my tiredness, I took her out to supper that night and brought her to the driving range, one of her favorite hobbies. She attempts to video herself striking the ball, but the camera isn't recording, and I want to help her but she insists I don't touch her phone. I go to bed that night after my week-long business trip and still haven't had. Mind you, I'm not asking for it all the time, but I'd want it at least 1 to 3 times a month. I'm frustrated in every way. A week later, it's the end of October, and I've been given an early day off from work. When I get home, I hear the sound of her computer speakers being connected and removed, which prompts me to question. When I click the mouse, the computer unlocks. I felt it was my turn to investigate what was going on. I check my email and find nothing, but she has purchased Phasmobia for Jay and Ed. She also received an email confirming the download of WhatsApp on her Apple Watch. She'd never needed to utilize this software before. I finally end up on Discord, which I am not very good at navigating. In one exchange, Jay sends A and she answers with a love eyes emoji. When I click on their messages, I see all of them. I immediately begin recording with my phone as documentation to show. I record all I can and even noticed on my birthday that she was writing to him about missing him and other things. I texted her, saying, "I know about Jay." She phones me right afterwards, panicked, and says she's on her way home. We sit on the sofa and converse, and she just tells me that she wants to be entertained. She doesn't even weep, and she doesn't even apologize. I had to inform her that she never apologized, and she then made excuses. She says she wants to be my wife but is unable to do so at this time. She sees us together in the future, but not right now. I tell her that I need some time to think about it. I want therapy, but she refuses, claiming she has to work on herself. I ultimately persuade her to agree. I told her she needed to reset the passwords and notify him that it was all over. If they need to chat, I understand. She agrees, and we proceed. That night, she only talks about how she won't be able to live financially without me. I convince her that she can do it just like anybody else. The next day, I examine the PC. She has changed the password again, but she has logged out of every account and Discord server where I discovered the texts. Technically, she accomplished everything I asked, so I'm not upset. When I inquired what he said about it being over, she told me that Jay hadn't said anything back and that he isn't like that to write back. A week later, I discover she has left her phone upstairs. When I attempt to log in, nothing has changed. I address this, and she became enraged at my checking. I ask her to show me the phone, and she makes a few of short strokes, indicating that she erased something swiftly. I check my Instagram messages and there are none. I immediately check the phone call history and notice that she has continued to chat to him on a regular basis even after I found out. I'm not even upset at this point because I'm so broken. A common friend goes on a girl's day and subsequently tells me that she was still chatting to him the whole day many days later. At this time, I decide against going to therapy since I know she isn't serious about making things work. Weeks pass and we coexist. She buys an air mattress and sleeps in the computer room. We just go out to eat and that is our sole means of contact. She grabbed money from our future savings account, which we never touch. I question why she took out money since I am financially capable of assisting and have paid for all of our bills since we started dating. She rants at me, insisting it's none of my business, but I've known she lies about money, and I've previously rescued her out of drowning credit card debt. To not make a couple's choice and work together with money seemed like another betrayal of my trust. She finally becomes enraged and pushes me out of the home after discovering that I had halted automatic payments to our joint account. Fortunately, I have another home set up, and I've been here since Thanksgiving. I've been trying for weeks to get out of a rut. I arranged counseling for myself in order to assist, as well as to let my boss know why I'm not in the greatest mood or functioning at my best. She then begins to invite me over for supper on the spur of the moment. I'm lonely and miss my pets, so I go over because I still miss my previous life, even though it never seems the same. She gets upset with me if I don't always say yes, and she got me a PS5 for Christmas, which I was obviously quite happy about. She can only speak about my need to stop dwelling on the past and start thinking about the future with us now. I still have another therapy visit scheduled, but this time has been crucial for me to reflect. My only regret right now is that I let things go too long and didn't call it quits as soon as I found out. I've always been a fixer and someone who doesn't give up and can be counted on, which I believe is being used. She now wants things to work, but I'm concerned my emotions and trust are too far gone. I'm having difficulty telling her that I want this to stop because I still love her, but I can't be with her, and I'm sure this is the most difficult thing for her and myself to grasp. I believe I am seeking permission or reason to stop it when I already have it. I simply don't want to have any regrets since we've been married for about 8 years, I'm 30, I enjoy being in a relationship, and as a result, I'll have to give up my pets. Also, she is a very furious person, and I believe she will take anything she can from me whatever the circumstances. The greatest thing is that this man is such a downgrade that she hasn't showed me or her friends what he looks like. I have an excellent support system, but could you give me some pointers on how to get this band-aid off faster?